Forward. All right, so welcome to tonight's call. The topic is nutrition. It's a constant, I think, challenge. It's something that, exercise, you just do it. There's not a lot of guesswork. There's not a lot of figuring it out. You just follow it, and maybe you have to do modifications, but there's not as much individual tweaks that we seem to have to make. Where nutrition, it's a lot of habits that we've really spent a long time building and then now trying to change. And not only does it affect us, but it affects those around us. So that can add an added dynamic. So what some of the things that I've worked through, or we're starting with the NTP program that I'm doing, I want to help and share with you guys as well. And also just things that I've gleaned in my personal journey. So some of the struggles that people commonly share, and it's something that we hear over and over again, are the struggles with weekends. Weekends tend to be our sticking point. We can do great all week long, and then the weekends something happens. And we're going to talk about that, but I just want to share some of the struggles that you guys shared in the group. A lot of it, some of the struggles are the repetition, figuring out foods that we like, getting stuck in a rut with the same recipes. And then another concern that we hear is the feeling of overwhelm. And that is one that I really want to target in this and focus a lot around. We'll talk about the other things as well, but I think that is an understandable feeling. I think for two reasons. Two is that there's two approaches that we focus on in our community, and that's using the container system, specifically Ultimate Portion Fix, but you can do the nutrition guides that come with most of the workout programs. But there's also 2B Mindset. And so that can be very confusing of what approach to take, or how do we incorporate it, even how to unpack it and getting started. If you're following the container system, calculating your bracket and tracking, and there's just so many things when it's all new to you. And to be honest, I didn't tackle it all at once. It has been a progress, and I think that that's something that we need to talk about, is breaking things down. So before I get started, for anyone that's on the call, are there other things that you want to ask before I delve into that, or other things that you want to highlight on this call? Okay. All right, so I'm going to keep going, but stop me if you have anything to add or questions. So I think the first thing that we may glaze over or think that's not in... Chloe, do you have a question?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't realize my sound was on. I was saying goodnight.
No, you're okay. All right, so the first thing is figuring out why it's important, because if it doesn't matter to you, and it may matter to you, but if you don't understand or haven't identified deeply why it matters, when challenges arise, we're gonna throw in the towel. That's just life. I've done it with different things before. Until we really dig into why it matters, then you might as well not start in some ways. So what I would encourage you, even now, you can jot down on a piece of paper why it's important, and I'll share some common things, and then maybe little tweaks to look at it differently. So when people come to me and they have a concern, a lot of times it's, I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds. I have a wedding coming up. I want to lose this amount of weight. I have whatever special event, so I want to fit into this dress. A lot of postpartum, so I want to fit into those jeans that I could wear before pregnancy, which are great starting points. But why? Why does that matter? How is your life different if you achieve that goal? So for me, a lot of it was confidence. Having a baby totally changes your body. And once you have that baby, it can totally change how you feel. It's a very weird out-of-body experience. I don't even know how to describe it, but that's how I felt. And I just was desperate to feel confident when I looked in the mirror again. And it wasn't even the size of the pants. It didn't matter. I just wanted to walk into my closet and pick up clothes without worrying about, can I zip my pants? Is my skin gonna hang over? Is like my shirt gonna look, funny or whatever? Like, how are my clothes gonna fit? And I didn't want to buy new clothes. It was like motivation to get back. And it affected relationships I was with. And, like my confidence impacted how I presented myself to people. It affected my marriage. Not feeling confident didn't make me want to go out on a date night. Even just how I interacted. So that was my deep why. It was that confidence that I felt at X. And it is something that has molded and changed. Your why can change. Like for me, now it's more, I want to be healthy and strong. It's rebuilding my strength after 3 babies and maintaining that, because that's the important thing is once we hit a goal, if we go back to the habits we had before we started, you will regress. What got you to that goal, you need to maintain those habits to maintain that goal. So when you're thinking about the habits you're going to change, the tweaks to your nutrition, you have to consider, is this something that you're going to stick with? Is this something that you can maintain or want to maintain? And there is give and take. There are seasons where you might be more intentional than others, and that's okay. There are definitely seasons where I'm way more on top of it, and there's other seasons where I'm a little more lax. It just depends. So how do we figure out where to start? I think that's important when you're approaching things, because I think we go into it feeling like we have to be perfect. And I try to be careful. And there's even one of our bingo squares this month that I would tweak if we did it again, is the whole idea like staying on plan all week. That's really hard to do because life. And ideally, like that's not sustainable for a long time. And that's not my goal for you guys is perfect. We're looking for lifestyle changes. And you need to assess, are you one of 2 different personalities? Are you a moderator? Are you someone that needs to have moderation in your life to maintain habits? Are you a person that does better having a treat kind of like scheduled or planned out throughout the week to know, okay, I can have that treat and move on? Or are you someone like me who is more of an abstainer, and I'm an all or nothing gal? Like if it's in the house, I will consume it until it's gone. If it's not here, I don't even think about it. And for me, it just is like, it's easier to not have it. I'm not that person that can open a bag of anything and just have a bite and put it away. It doesn't cure my like cravings to do that. One way or the other is not better. Like it's just who you are. So it's figuring that out and figuring out, do you have to just keep it off your grocery list? Or do you need to keep it at the top of your pantry where you know it's there and you can have it once in a while, but it's not, in view all the time? And then I would recommend, once you kind of have that idea, is I want you to sit down and journal. I would really encourage, if you have not food journaled before, is to sit down for 3 to 5 days, because especially if you know you're going to food journal, you're probably going to be a little bit better about your nutrition. But food journal for 5 days and write down what you eat, everything, down to the bites off your kid's plate, for 5 days, and turn it into your coach. Whoever your coach is in this community, you could even post it in our group. But then I would like you to assess your own food journal. Look at your days, see kind of the habits that you have, and pick 3 foods that you feel are not your best, that maybe have wiggle room. And maybe even just identify one that you're willing to start to swap out. Maybe for you it's soda. Maybe it's your after dinner snack. Maybe it's not even a per se unhealthy food, but it could be the quantity or the time of day that you know you're eating mindlessly, versus out of nutrition, which I will admit, like I'm a stress eater. I also know that after the girls go to bed, that if I'm avoiding a task, if I'm near the kitchen, I will consume things I don't need. My body is not hungry. I don't need to eat. And I want you guys not to look at this as a guilt thing. It's just figuring out what your body needs and what it doesn't need, and what's going to move you closer to your goal. So it's easy. It's as simple as realizing like, okay, I'm snacking after dinner and that's not necessary. So my goal for next week is dinner and done. I'm not going to eat after dinner. I'm going to eat enough at dinner to fill me up, and then I will eat again in the morning when my body needs more fuel. And if I'm hungry at night or feel snacky, having a cup of tea, something warm like that, makes your stomach feel full and may appease that whole like consuming something, putting something in your mouth, or even just drinking water, getting away from the kitchen to kind of help you. But focus on that one thing that may be affecting your results at the time, and then continue to stack on that. Once you establish a healthy habit, then the next week, or then, once you feel like you've kind of gotten control of that, stack on it. If you feel like there's one particular meal that you really, either you're consistently skipping or consistently is your least healthy, maybe Shakeology at that time of day would be best for you. That's simple. It's a healthy meal. You just add in a cup of fruit or half a banana, throw in some spinach, and you've got a complete meal that really doesn't take any prep. And then, like I said, build on those habits over time. I think it's easy to, and I understand like this, I am that person too. You want results now. And we have to remember that these habits, what got us to the point we are today, have taken months, years to get there. So it's going to take time to get back to where we want to be. So giving yourself patience, giving yourself time to achieve that goal, and just know that we're looking for each day to be better than the day before, but also knowing that you're going to have those well-planned days that don't happen as planned. And so there are some questions about, well, finding foods for my family or having family over. And I run into this still. And what I really recommend is picking meals that are healthy already, that maybe you just need to do tweaks to. So like I shared tonight in our group, sheet meals. Those are really great because it's a great way to kind of appease everybody. They're really simple. They're not complicated. They're very clean. It sounds like you're not extra ingredients. It's quick to make. It's quick to cook. And more or less, most people like it. You can add a little tweaks. But, an easy baked chicken with your favorite seasonings. You could use a marinade. That's a homemade marinade is a great way. We do like a cilantro lime a lot of times. You could even grill it instead. You could do this on the grill if it's nice. With some sweet potatoes like for you, and you could have half the sheet of red potatoes or white potatoes for your family. That was a modification we made in the beginning, where it's like, okay, I knew sweet potatoes were higher on the yellow food list, so I'm going to have those, but my husband doesn't want the sweet potatoes, but baking wise doesn't make a big difference. And then some vegetable that your family already likes. Like oddly enough, my girls prefer asparagus over broccoli or like cooked carrots or something. So I try to pick the things that my family already likes and cook that stuff more often, and cut out the things that maybe aren't as healthy for all of us, and don't cook it as often, or make tweaks. Like my family loves pasta and meatballs. Okay, so I'm going to cook the Fix8 sauce and meatballs. Or sometimes if I'm short on time, I do ground beef and we make meat sauce instead. My girls don't care. And then I can do pasta for my family and zoodles. It's a little more complicated meal, but you could potentially prep stuff ahead of time. You could have the pasta cooked, the night before or whatever, and have it in your fridge, and that heats pretty well the next day. And the same with the sauce and the meatballs, honestly. Or you could do them in the crock pot. Tacos are another family favorite that has been very easy for me to tweak, whether I'm following 2B mindset or ultimate portion fix. You can do shredded chicken in the crock pot. Then you can make a bowl for yourself or a taco salad, and your family could have the tortillas. And you could have tortillas depending on what containers you needed for that meal. But if you're following 2B mindset and that's your dinner, you would just omit the tortillas. So it's little things like that where you're not missing out or eating a completely different meal or cooking multiple meals. You're just omitting certain things. Or we used to always have rice, beans, tortillas, shredded chicken for taco night. And that was a whole lot of carbs, which are okay if you have one or the other. But our bodies don't need that many yellows or that many carbohydrates at a time, or reducing your portion size. If you want a burrito bowl and you want the rice and the beans, then you just cut your portion size of each. So it's just making the shift that we're not missing out. We're tweaking to what our body needs. And I think a lot of it is mindset, just getting over that fear of missing out. Food is very much a community thing. It's something we share. My husband and I like to go out to eat, and, ordering dessert. Things are okay. It's just about making sure that 80% of the time we're really intentional about fueling our bodies. And the concern about the weekends, totally get it. That's one great thing about Morning Meltdown. And I think the purpose behind her program was that so often we work out all week long, but because we're not maintaining that habit on the weekends, it's even harder to jump in on Monday. So if we can maintain a little bit of physical activity each day, it's just part of your routine. That's why I also recommend that you look at your schedule and try to find the same time each day that you can be consistent with your workout, whether it's morning, lunch, after work, after your husband gets home and can watch the kids. Picking the same time really helps you not even think about it. You're not relying on motivation, you're relying on habit at that point. That was big for me in the beginning. Morning didn't work out for me when my baby was waking up all night long. Like, they just didn't work. So my husband and I had a conversation, and I said, if I cannot get my workout in the morning, which was often, when you get home at bedtime, can you do bedtime bath? I'm going to work out. We'll regroup. We'll divide and conquer for actual, putting the girls to sleep. And everyone was happy. And he was on board 100%. I promise you, and I'm one who didn't do this enough, if you talk to your spouse about, hey, this is really important and this is why, guarantee that they're going to jump on board, especially if you're looking to take care of your health and it's going to impact their life in a positive way, whether you're happier, you're more energetic, they're going to be on board. And they're going to jump on it. I promise. And if I'm wrong, then come tell me, and whatever, we'll talk about it. But, I think we underestimate how willing those around us are to help us. And they may be motivated or encouraged to do it themselves. My husband, I don't push things on him. We have in the house at any given time probably 3 peanut butters. One he likes for his sandwiches, but he will substitute in mine on occasion, and more. So it's really fun to see that, where it's a no pressure environment. But even nuts too. He used to eat the salted nuts. I kind of stopped buying the salted nuts, so he did adopt that just because that's what was in the pantry. But over time, it's very interesting to see our family kind of adopt those habits. The same with my girls. We don't force them to finish their plates, but they do know that if they want more of something on their plate, they have to try their veggie. And depending, they may have to finish it. Kind of depends on the day, but often they have to have their serving of vegetable to get something else. And I figure it's brushing their teeth. You got to brush your teeth every day. You got to eat your veggies every day. I'm not torturing you, but I'm also not force feeding it. If you're hungry, you're going to eat it. If you're struggling in your journey, I recommend picking up a book. Really, I love listening to the books. That has helped me in my journey on the days that I feel stuck, on the days I feel frustrated, on the days I feel overwhelmed. Grabbing a personal development book. There are so many, and there's been ones depending on the season or the struggle I'm going through that have helped me. Rachel Hollis, I really like. I always say she's kicking the pants that I need. She does like daily lives with her husband. A lot of times they have podcasts, and she has a couple books, and he has a new book that's coming out, I think, in the spring. But hers is Your Girl Stop Apologizing, and what's the other one? Girl Wash Your Face. Girl Wash Your Face is one I recommend just for personal development. Girl Stop Apologizing is like goal specific, so it kind of depends on what you're looking for. Own Your Everyday is a great one if you struggle with like the comparison game, and like feeling like you don't measure up. I really like that one. You Are a Badass. Beware there is language in that one. I'm not one to normally swear, but yet again, sometimes we need a kick in the pants, and that's kind of that book. Morning Routines, Miracle Morning is great. If you feel like you're just struggling with routines. I just read, or Better Than Before is a good one too, about habits and kind of figuring out how you work, your personality, because I think that also helps with motivation. So figuring out how you're motivated, because you're someone who may not want a strict plan. And although I don't feel Ultimate Portion Fix is strict, there is flexibility and there's choice within the program. Maybe GB Mindset may seem more relaxed for you. So that might be a better approach for you, or as a family, or certain seasons like the holiday season. I feel like that one I can kind of do on the fly, where Ultimate Portion Fix, I think to be more successful, I found meal prep works better. But it kind of depends. Questions that you guys have, or things that you continue to struggle with or don't know where to start on, or good books you've read or listened to.
I think that I need to dive into some of those personal development books, because I've got my workout routine down. The nutrition and the routine and stuff like that, I've got to work on. I make healthier choices. It's just when I'm home, there's more access to things and more access to more food than, when I pack it at work, that's all I have, and it's timed out and all that. So I think I need to dive into some of those books.
They're great. And I mean, I admit, I remember seeing, actually it was a guy posting about personal development before I was a coach, and I kind of like laughed at him, and I feel horrible now because, I just had this misconception about what it was or what they were, and what it meant if I read them. I think they used to be called self-help, and like, I hate that term. It's just, even as a teacher, we were supposed to read professional development, which is the same as personal development. Really, some of the books were actually the same recommendations. But we need to grow. And even as humans, we want to grow. And if you have goals, like, there's some really good tangible tips of, okay, how do I approach it? Glow said that tips on to handle other people's reactions to your food choices. This is a really good one. So first, their reactions are usually related back to their confidence or insecurity. So often they might think that they need to be making better choices. So when they see you making changes, it makes them feel guilty, honestly. I've had people harass me, and it's frustrating. And there is that pressure of giving in to make them feel better. But remember that, and then at the end of the day, who cares, one, what they think? And that's a hard pill to swallow. I'm a people pleaser. But honestly, like, you're the one that has to go to bed feeling X. So do you want to feel guilty over the choices that you made for somebody else who may or may not even matter. And those that really care about you normally are going to be supportive. There are some in our life that we really love that are struggling with something and will make comments, and just remembering to kind of like feel for them. Just like,
Mhm.
I think that's helped me, being like, wow, they're struggling with something and that's not me. And being firm, I think it's in To Be Mindset. I can't remember To Be Mindset, or if um, Autumn talks about this, but she talks about like how to word it. She was really good. I can't remember, but just being like, this is just, I'm making these changes. Like I feel good when I eat these foods, so I'm going to stick with what I brought for lunch. Um,
Mhm.
and things take time. We are so used, the foods that we eat in a society. And I thought actually for our girls have been some of the hardest changes, because kid food can be some of the worst foods. But they are created to appeal to your taste. So there's extra sugar, there's extra salt, there's things in there to make you crave more. So to cut that back, it takes time for your taste buds to adjust. And knowing sometimes you have to take tiers down, like yogurt's a good example. You may still have to buy a flavored yogurt for a while, but maybe you go from the strawberry to a vanilla and add chopped strawberry into it. And then after a while, you kind of get used to that change. And then you can go to a plain yogurt with honey and strawberries. So don't feel like you have to overhaul. Like ideally, there's X foods that you should be, that are going to fuel your body best. That may not work for you. Some people, a drastic change does, but for other people, they're going to rebel.
Mhm.
So you just kind of finding some little tweaks. Like I said, with the peanut butter, if I'm going to put it on toast more often, I like one that has a little bit of sugar, even though it's not quote unquote fix approved, but I don't eat that a lot, so it's okay. Versus the peanut butter I put in my Shakeology, I eat that every day. So I do the unsweetened, and I don't notice because it's in Shakeology. The purpose of that is a little bit of flavor of the peanut butter, but really just to have a healthy fat in my Shakeology. So if that kind of helps. Um, there are a list of personal development books in our group in the unit, and there is a food journal if you need a sheet to print out. You can just write on notebook paper. You don't have to do anything fancy. If you purchase To Be Mindset or Ultimate Portion Fix, they each, like the physical materials, then you have that to use. Or you can also use the app, which I have no idea where my phone is. But the Nutrition Plus app from Beachbody, which I have heard it's not on Android, so I apologize. Android is a lot more expensive to develop apps for, and it's a lot harder. So sometimes things and more expensive or something. So it can take longer to launch there. So I'll let you guys know when I get an update. Right now it is just on the iPhone platform. But it's a really good tool, and you can sync it to the Beachbody Challenge Tracker app. So then it logs your Shakeology. Next month, our call is going to be up in about 5 minutes. So next month, we're going to do a theme on planks and thanks. There is going to be an odd week that I think we're going to focus on some Thanksgiving related stuff and do some fun challenges based around that. So stay tuned. There are no requirements to participate. You do have to log your Shakeology and workouts in the app to really be participating. But if you just want to follow along, you want to do some of the challenges, you are more than welcome to do them in our group. We share some things in the Facebook group, but the app is really how I track your progress, or your coach tracks your progress, and it can help us get an idea of, do you need support? So, and then it's also your personal accountability. You can check in and know, okay, I did 7 workouts this week, or I drank Shakeology 5 days. But do make sure that you log them so you get those points to gear towards prizes. Any other questions? Well, thank you for those that hopped on live. If there was something I didn't address, there is a lot to this. I know there is. So I really recommend you reaching out to your coach and potentially scheduling a one-on-one call so you can walk through the nutrition plan. So you can talk through the container system. How do you calculate your bracket? It's all in the guide, but I know it's a lot and I know it's new and it can seem like a foreign language. So that's what we're here for. We're here to help you be successful with the tools that you are provided with. And you are always welcome to ask questions in the community as well. So I'm gonna let you guys go. I know some of you are early risers, so go to bed so you can get up and get your workout in. All right, guys, have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.